Hello everyone, this is Don back with Tuesday's update video on the Corsair project. Alright, I wasn't able to get it completely put back together today because the new crank sensor hasn't showed up yet. UPS tracking shows it's going to be delivered tomorrow. So today's Tuesday, so tomorrow Wednesday, it was like 25th, 26th, something like that. Like 26. Anyway, so I put together what I could. And then some of the issue was I needed to redo some wiring. This is the new crank sensor wire. The original crank sensor wire had two wires here, had two heavy ones like this that were plus VR plus and VR negative. So they had to go into the computer, and so what I had to do is I had to take the computer in the house and start pulling wires out because I eliminated the cam sensor. So that was two wires that had to come out, and then the crank sensor, one wire came out, and then I had to add a power 5-volt reference and a ground to the new crank sensor because it's a Hall effect sensor. It requires power, so this sensor luckily requires a 5-volt reference, which is tapped right off of the board there. So I got VR reference 5 volts. And then I had to come in to the triggers for the coil packs because I'm going from a sequential to wasted spark. You can see I got a little splicer in there, two black splices. What I did is I cut out channels 3 and 4 and spliced them into channels 1 and 2. So channel 1 fires cylinder 1 spark plug and 2 spark 1 and 3, 1 and 3, and it fires 2 and 4. So it fires 1 and 3 at the same time, then 2 and 4 at the same time. Alright, so I can see I got the oil tank, everything back in it, and you can probably just make out the new crank sensor down there. It's tough to get into, but it's right here. It's shiny teeth. Well, let go. But it's right underneath that hole. That's where the sensor has to go in. And then there's the new sprocket right there. That's a 12-1 tooth. So it's all back in, all retimed. It's ready to go. Turn that off. Everything underneath is all plumbed back up. And while I was at it, I finally put some Adel clamps on the hoses here and here. And then also around the other side. Adel clamps holding this together. I had to shorten this one up a little bit to rehook it. So I drained the water out, antifreeze. I haven't put it back in yet because this side is leaking. When that thing's full, it leaks. So I got to pull that radiator. And luckily, again, it's open, but I got to kind of cut the foam out of there to drag it down and see if it's a hose problem or a fitting problem, or if my welds had sprung a leak on one of the welds. So again, I'm waiting on the crank sensor, so all this has to come out of the way in order to put that sensor in down there. So it's all still loose. The motor mount bolts are just setting in there. They're not tightened or anything. So that's all it's left to do is put that in and wire it up to these. I'll probably put a plug on it so it can be easily plugged and unplugged. I ended up shortening the harness for the oil pressure for the engine gauge. The wire was real extra long, so I cut it off, resoldered it. Had to rearrange a few pins in here for this, took out some pins, like I said, I took out channels 3 and 4 for the ignition, pulled them right out, reused 2 of those wires to power and ground, had to rewire some pins in here, pulled some wires out, so now it's just got the essentials coming out here, so everything's done. Alright, let me go ahead and show you the software here again. This is the Tuner Studio. Turn it up some. I guess it's just the lighting in here. But either way, the lights in the ceiling. Seems like it's not very bright. There we go. Let's turn her up somewhere so we can see her. Alright, this is the output test, hardware test mode. That allows me to come in. It's still set up in the test mode. It hasn't stopped yet. But what I got to do is I have to turn on the power. If I don't turn on the power and turn the ignition switch on, that supplies power to the coils. So the coils won't fire without the battery turned on in the airplane. The computer auto recognizes and plugs up. As soon as you plug this port into the computer, Alright, so what I'm going to do is cycle channel 1 on, and what that will do is it'll fire cylinders 1 and 3 at the same time. There's cylinder 3. And there's cylinder 1. So every time that comes up on top dead center, it'll fire cylinders 1 and 3. Doesn't matter if they're on compression or the exhaust stroke. And then a quarter of a turn from that, turn that back off, turn the next pulse on, and now this is channels 2 and 4. That's cylinder 4. And that's cylinder 2, or 3, excuse me. This is 1, 3, 2, and 4. So 1 and 2 fire together, 3 and 4 fire together. And they fire at every quarter of a turn of the crankshaft. It'll fire this side, this bank, another quarter turn will fire that bank, another quarter, back and forth. So it'll always fire 2 plugs at the same time, and it only requires a crank signal. Alright, so we'll turn that off, turn that off. You can see temperature, air inlet temp is right about 75 degrees. Coolant temp is about 65 degrees. So both sensors are working. Air temp's there, cool temp's there. It's all working. The only thing left is just to hook up this crank. So the ignition module is done. It just has 2 triggers in. It fires 4 channels out. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and shut the power back off. Ignition off, key off. So that's where I'm at. Tomorrow, UPS hasn't been showing up around here until afternoons. So I got to go out and work tomorrow, so I won't be able to fiddle with it. But all it's left to do is just trim these wires. I got them marked which one is 5 volt reference, which one is ground, and of course the last one is the signal, the output. So, and it's again, it's a Hall effect sensor, so it puts out a 5 volt positive pulse. So it goes from 0 to 5, and then when the sensor passes and turns off, it goes from 5 to 0. It just puts out a simple square wave pulse, and every time them crank goes around, it'll interpret basically every 3 teeth. It'll fire. It'll fire either once it sees a missing tooth, it knows where top dead center is based on the crank location of that. So, all right, I think that's about all I got to talk about on this. And let me go ahead and shut this off too. I'm trying to think what else. Nothing else. I've spent most of my time just working on this. All that's left to do is there's a few bolts hardware that's left to finish putting the motor mounts back together. Bolt in there, 2 bolts in there, bracket, and then the alternator and the belt tensioner is all ready to go on. As soon as I get the crank sensor, I'll put it in, wire it all up. I'm going to put oil in it. I'm not going to put the old oil back in because it's already dirty from the running rich problem. So, and then also the crankshaft, when I pulled that crank pulley off, it was extremely tight. Used a gear puller. So then after I went to put the crank pulley back on, I looked at the crank and I seen there was some gunk on it. Not really rust, but something on there. So let me polish it up. So I took the sanding belt off of my little 1x42 belt sander and turned it inside out. So that's the inside of the belt. Inside out, and I just took and stuck it over top of that crankshaft there and just used it, just pulled up and down with both hands, one up, one down, just sat there and polished it a little bit, spun it a quarter turn, polished it, so it went all around. It was nice and clean. And then I took that crank pulley, went to put it on there, see if it would go on, and it went plop, went all the way in smacked. So it was, I thought they were supposed to be just slip-on. So it was a keyway. I fitted the keyway in the thing and put it on there. Oh, and to attach it, I ended up going through the sprocket. I took and bought some 1/4 inch socket head, not cap screws, but countersunk screws with Allen wrench heads, and they're the black oxide, so they're the hardened stuff, 1.5 inches long. And so the holes in that sprocket were 7 millimeter. So I grabbed a piece of 3/8 inch tubing, 4130, cut off like 4 inches, put it in a lathe, turned it down to 7 millimeters, put it in there, put it in the press, and pressed them in the 2 spots I wanted to drill. I just picked 2 more holes. And then I again used my little arbor here, put the sprocket on, the tooth, 12 tooth sprocket, and then the crank pulley, lined them all up, went in there and put it on the drill press with a 1/4 inch bit. After I put the pieces in the pulley, I drilled them out for 1/4 inch bolts. And then I put it all lined up, put it in the press, went in with a 1/4 bit, just enough to peck drill, just basically a starting point, just a divot. And then I took the sprocket off and I hit it with a number 7 drill for a 1/4 20 tap. And then I tapped it, tapped them out, put them in there, and they worked perfect. And then I used a number 45 countersink, and I countersunk them so the screws were just below flush. And then I cleaned everything up, put some red Loctite on them, screwed them in with it on the arbor, locked them down, and you could spin that thing on that arbor, so it was perfectly lined. I faced off the gear, the timing tooth, faced one side off, take a 1/16 of an inch out of it, counterbored the back of it, and then slid her on after I polished crank. So now that belt's all in time, you put the harmonic balancer on there. That squeezes everything tight, so the bolts can't come out because the harmonic balancer is keeping the screws from backing out, and the plate can't go anywhere because it's torqued. And then even if the bolts were to break, it can't go anywhere because the plates, the tooth plate and the sprocket and the crank are all compressed together with, it's like 70 foot-pounds of torque on that. So it's not coming apart. So somebody had mentioned countersink screws, and I'd already thought about it after I made the video, and I was like, well, that's probably going to be easier. But I went with smaller, went with the 1/4 inch screw instead of 5/16 because the head on the 5/16 would have been way too big and would have gotten right into the hole for the crank. And this one just barely missed it, so with the 1/4 inch, but it worked perfect. So then after I put it on there and faced it all off, the screws were exactly the same length as the sprocket. So I had to cut that plate from 1/4 inch down to 3/16. Alright, so now all that's left to do is get that sensor on there, test it, cranker, put some oil in it, crank it up, see if it sparks good. If it looks like it's doing properly, you should see it just going bang, 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 bang. Should just make a perfect synchronization back and forth, both sides. So when it's cranking, and then I'll hook everything back up and see how it goes. Alright, one other thing, my friend who has the War P47 Thunderbolt down in Alabama, he finally got some old videos uploaded onto his channel. He's got, I think there's 5 of them on there now. But anyway, I will put a link I will pin a comment in the bottom of this video for his page. It's called KJ's Hanger. It's KJ''S Hanger. I think it's all capital, but I'll have a link right to his thing. And there's 5 videos there, and all the videos are anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes long. And keep in mind that these videos can go back all the way to the 70s, probably into the 90s. So there's like 20 years for these videos that have been taken, and they were recorded on a VHS tape. So just remember, the camera quality isn't the best looking and they're a little shaky, but back in those days, if you've seen a VHS recorder, they were shoulder mounted, man. You had to carry them things on your shoulder to video. And the very first video when you go on there is he's got a Corsair like this painted up in a gray paint scheme, and he's just kind of, what it was is the guy was at the end of the runway, who liked watching the planes fly, and he seen Kevin out with his plane, so he got his camera out, and as soon as he turned the camera on, Kevin's coming in for a landing, and he got hit. So you'll see 2 planes, the Corsair and another plane, veering off. They just contacted each other. Kevin's Corsair, the right wingtip, you'll see it flapping, because it tore the leading edge of the wingtip up, and the foam and glass was flapping, because the guy's airplane hit the wingtip, and Kevin's propeller cut through the tire on the other airplane. It was a low wing. He banked off. He came in and landed on top of Kevin as he was coming in for landing. So Kevin landed, rolled out, and then the camera, the guy was, excited, and the camera's bouncing all around. Next thing you see is the Corsair going up on its nose, and it got right up on the nose like it was going to go over like I did, and it slowly teetered back and landed on the gear, so it ended up on the nose and gear, and then he crawls out. But it was a mid-air collision on landing. So that's the first video, and then the rest is some Focke-Wulf flying and the Corsair flying, some in-flight, in-air, side-by-side for the blue Corsair, a different Corsair. So go check out his channel, subscribe. If this goes well for him, he'll eventually he'll make a video of his Focke-Wulf he has now. The P47 he has now, there's a Focke-Wulf in the video and a P47. The P47 in the videos is Razorback. It's got a Razorback on it. The regular P40s had a bubble canopy like a P51 Mustang. So go check out his channel and watch all the videos. Like I said, again, they're only a few minutes. The longest one's only like 4 minutes long. But keep in mind, they are digital copies of a VHS tape. So we get those going, get him out there, and he'll do a video on his plane, and then you can see what he's doing. But he took a lot of stuff apart, just clean everything up, because his plane was built in the 70s. He's just going through everything, replacing carburetors, starters, alternators, all that old time stuff that's heavy and expensive. So I think that's going to do it for this update. I was hoping to get that sensor today, but didn't happen. So now I just got to wait till tomorrow. Not going to be able to do anything with it probably till the weekend. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and end this thing. I'm at 16 minutes and then it only goes to 18 before it restarts, and I just missed it on my last video. Alright, I think that's about all I got to report. So I just got to remount this in the box after I find out that it's working properly. Close her up, put it back in, drop the fuel tank in, and should be good to go. All it's left to do is hook up a light for the alternator. I'm buttoning everything down out here, retying everything, so I've got the hoses done finally, and oxygen sensor, everything's all plugged in. I can take this sensor back out. I won't be needing it if everything works as planned. Alright everybody, as always, appreciate taking the time to watch my videos. Feel free to have any comments, questions, concerns. As always, don't be afraid to leave comments, and the ones you guys leave now are well appreciated. And make sure to go check out Kevin's channel, KJ's Hangar, and I'll put the link in the comments. I'll pin the comment with a link to that channel so you guys can go join his channel. And the more the merrier. The more we can get of these warplanes on the internet and going. Try to revitalize the enthusiasm into building airplanes. And Matt, if you're listening, a Downrange Warbird, get on a stick, buddy. You got to get up to date. And let's see, what was the other one? The other Corsair. Sorry, I can't even figure your name now. But anyway, check out the other Corsair. He's out in the west, and he's been doing all the attack. Joe Lyons. So I haven't seen anything up from him in about a week. So you got to keep him going, guys. All right, time's up, and I got to go. So I will catch you guys again next weekend, and I should have this thing up and running by then. All right, so see you guys later. So this is Done or Done out.